So let's read the question really quick. So what we're doing here is testing a new treatment for ovarian cancer in a mouse model. So there is the placebo, which is the buffer. That's our placebo, that's the control. Basically no treatment, that's what it is. And the other is the nanoparticle based delivery system for suicide gene therapy, and it's delivered directly into the tumor cells. So that's the actual treatment. So let's just call that the actual treatment. So we have the control and the experimental group. So this is your control and this is the experiment. So the numbers here represent the fold increase in tumor size after 2 weeks. So basically what that means is they take the measurement before the treatment is given and then after the treatment is given, and what they're measuring is after divided by before. Okay, so suppose after divided by before is 1. What that would mean is that the after size is equal to the before size, which means after the treatment the tumor did not grow at all because they are the exact same size. Okay, so let's look at what it would mean if after minus before. So after, divided by before is a 2. What that means is the size of the tumor after the treatment was twice the size of the tumor before the treatment. Okay, so it's double the size. And if after divided by before is a 1.1, for example, 1.1 is pretty close to a 1, which means that the tumor grew just a tiny bit. It's almost the same as the size before the treatment. Now suppose we have after over before, which is equal to 4. What that means is that if we cross multiply, we get after is equal to 4 times before, which means the size of the tumor is 4 times the size that it was at the beginning, that is before the treatment. So it's very important to understand this number. It's the fold increase in tumor size. So what I've made here is a stem plot. The right side is the nano-delivered gene therapy, and these are 20 different rats, okay? And the sizes or the fold increase in the tumor size is given here. These are the numbers. So the key is 3 vertical line 8 is the same as 3.8, okay? And on the left side, it's the placebo. So let's compare the two. Now, most of the numbers are in the first 2 rows, that is the nano-delivered gene therapy. What that means is that the fold increase is at most, so fold increase is at most 2, which means that at most the tumor doubled in size. Right? And we have 2 more, 3.5, that's a little, and 4.1, that's almost 4 times the size. But if you look at the tumors, most of them are in the first 2 rows. What that means is that the worst case scenario is that the tumor doubled in size. That doesn't sound great, but if you compare it to what would have happened if there was no treatment, you can see on the left side, which is your buffer numbers. Look at the numbers that come out of the placebo or the no treatment, basically. Look at all these numbers. Most of the numbers are between, so this is the buffer, most of the numbers are between 3.3 and 7.8, right? So at best, the tumor tripled in size. This is the lowest number, tripling in the size. And most of them increased about 8 times the original size. And there were 2 tumors. If you look at this, it is 8 times the original size. So 8.1 after over before. So that tells us that the after is 8 times approximately. So when you cross multiply, the times 8 times the size of the tumor before the treatment. And the worst case scenario here, one of the tumors grew 9 times. So after over before was equal to 9. So when you cross multiply, after is equal to 9 times before, which means the tumor was 9 times the size that it was before the treatment. So look at the numbers. The range is from 3.3 to almost 7.8. Most of the tumors were in that range, and there were also 2 more tumors, one which was 8 times the original size and the other was 9 times the original size, which is pretty bad. So now let's go back and look at this, which is the actual therapy. At most, the size of the tumor doubled. But look at this. At best, the size of the tumor was 3 times the original size. So clearly, the nano delivered gene therapy seems to be working better than no treatment at all, right? So what we're trying to say here is that the tumor is not gone, right? 1.1 is almost remained the same, which means it did not grow. And most of them were in this range, 1.1 to 2.1, which is doubled in size. There were a couple of tumors that doubled in size. And this was the range of values. Although it doesn't look great, but when you compare it to no treatment at all, you can clearly see that the gene therapy treatment at least controlled the growth of the tumor. Okay, we cannot say that the tumors shrunk, because if the tumors had shrunk, then the after over before would have to be less than 1, like 0.5, for example. What this says is A equals 0.5 times B. So A is half of B. So the after size is half of the size before the treatment. Now that didn't happen, but at least we can say that the growth of the tumor was kept in check by this new treatment.